there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hossman, and joining me today, a brand new guest. I am so excited to dig in some topics here with the founder of Scrappy AF Solutions. Absolutely love that name, Colton Briner. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, man, right on. Appreciate you having me on the show.
For sure. So I want to jump right in because as I was reading up on you, learning a little bit about it, I had read where you had said that you like marketing with some stank on it. Now, I got to be honest with you. I can't wait to hear about this. So can you tell me a little bit about what you mean?
Sure. Well, as you may guess from the name of the company, I do like to have a name and a tagline that starts conversations because I think that's what marketing is all about.
Yeah.
And marketing with some stank on it is really, just about it's about putting an extra effort into it. It's about using a little more creativity. It's about being scrappy, right? I think that some of the sports metaphors for putting some stank on it, when you're driving the golf ball or you're pitching the baseball, that type of thing, you're shooting the free throw, just that extra, yes, I'm going to make this, I'm going to crush this. So I think that having that energy, having that enthusiasm, bringing the creativity and the scrappy tactics, that's what that's all about.
I love it. And I think that it really is, I think when you are creating a campaign, having sort of a different mindset from the beginning, I think not only does that put your own team in a different mindset, but I think it also helps, at least for me, it helps my clients understand what I'm about. Because I think somebody who is super conservative and super, not creative, they're not going to be attracted to marketing with stank on it. Am I right?
They're not.
Okay.
True. Yeah, it's true.
It's some self-editing is probably good there.
Yeah. It sounds like you, with your team, you also maybe don't have it as your slogan, but it sounds like you're also committed to putting some stank on it.
I am very committed. I am now.
Okay.
I love it. All right, cool. So I want to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
And so I'm curious to know, and I ask this of entrepreneurs and leaders and marketers about who they find for inspiration. So who are some people that inspire you to be better?
In the space of business, some names, authors that we would probably recognize: Jason Jennings, Lawrence Houghton. These are names that inspire me. Companies that have inspired me, I look at, what's happened with the insurance industry, sort of generally, where you've got Geico and Allstate, State Farm. They've taken a super dry topic and business area, and they've made it entertaining. They've engaged us in a way that 20 years ago, you wouldn't have expected to think humor would be that tightly associated with a space in our lives that's normally associated with tragic events, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a huge win, and I think majorly inspirational. And then also some of the big, bold campaigns that I've seen from, you've got like the Always Like a Girl campaign, the Dove Choose Beautiful campaign, and Nike's Dream Crazy campaign, I think are all massively inspiring.
Now, going off topic just a little bit, are you a fan of those kind of messages where they kind of lift you up? You like that kind of marketing?
I really do. I think that, these days, if you as a brand haven't really conveyed purpose, you're going to lose two things. You're going to lose access to great employees, and you're going to lose access to great market. Because, with my ability as an individual to start my own business, run my own thing with all the tools that I have access to, with unprecedented access, I can make purpose happen in my own life like that. And if I'm out there now looking for ways to either spend my time as an employee in career or companies that I'm going to spend my money on, if you just have a job or you just have a product and you don't have any purpose, well, I can get a job with purpose right there and there and there tomorrow, and I can buy a product that's tied to purpose there and there and there today.
Yeah, that's a super interesting point. I think so many times, especially as marketers, we do think of sort of marketing the purpose side of it. And I've seen companies do that well and do it poorly. But your point about getting employees is a great one. I think that having a company that has a mission or purpose really does help to attract and retain.
I think you're right. And getting employees these days has become increasingly a struggle.
Yeah.
And I think, part of that is COVID related, but part of it is as a lot of people experience the separation and break that they got, through COVID, they're in a reevaluation sort of mindset and going, what am I doing, exchanging my life energy in this way? And what other ways can I do it? So the marketer's job now, I think, is twofold. Sure, you're growing audience awareness, driving business, driving top of funnel, but you also need to support on the recruiting side that your organization warrants someone coming in with a lot of talent. Share that talent with us, right? It's twofold now.
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm curious, what are some tips that you give people for whether it's your team, whether it's your customers, for growing, whether it's personally or professionally? What are some tips you give?
Well, great. So as we were talking about a second ago with this unprecedented access, it's all there and it's all on the internet. We have access now to knowledge and talent and productive capacity and capital and audience and tools of creation that, 20 years ago, were only available to billion-dollar corporations. So, take the time to familiarize yourself with how empowered you are now. That's on the personal basis. I think about it like on the professional side, I say increase your capacity for creativity. And there's definitely ways to do that. Creativity can be increased much like athletic ability can be increased. There's exercises, tools, practices, lots of material out there on how to increase your productivity, your creativity. And in an era, if you will, that has this much opportunity for combining ideas to create new things, I believe it is the businesses and the individuals that have grown their creative capacities that will really seize the opportunity that's present today.
Man, I think that's great. I love the idea of sort of developing creativity like a muscle. I think that there's tons of truth to that. I think sometimes we think that when people look at creatives on the outside, they think, well, they're going to run out of creativity. And it's like, I find that to be almost the opposite. Like the more I stretch that muscle, the more I see ideas and things like that. So I think that's a super good point. Final question for you. Again, back to the marketing side of things. So what are some mistakes that you see other organizations making when telling their story? And, when you're meeting with them, how do you talk to them about fixing that?
Wow. I think that the biggest mistake that I'm going to see today has to do with the biggest opportunity, which is about being purpose-centered. I think that the businesses who figure out purpose-centered are going to find themselves differentiating in terms of success in the same ways that businesses that adopted digitization early, like really leapfrogged over their competition, the same ways that those who got into Web 1.0 and 2.0 and social media, the ones who figured that out dominated their competition. And I believe that will be exactly what happens with the businesses that figure out how to be authentic about purpose. So the converse of that, the big mistake is not being authentic about purpose, being an organization that's got the platitude on the wall, that got everybody in the company to memorize the slogan or the purpose statement, but didn't genuinely operationalize. And I think the reason that that's going to be the big mistake is because the radar that the consumer and the employee, like we were talking about, have these days has become so finely tuned that they can spot BS like that.
Yeah.
And what I mean by operationalizing purpose is, are you measuring all your executives on how they're moving to really affect the purpose of your organization out in the world? Are there metrics tied to it? Is my job performance measured by it? When we're in there as a board, we're talking about, sure, the next quarter in terms of growth, in terms of revenue. Did we talk about it in terms of purpose? Unless you're really being genuine about purpose, the mistake will be that you have some pretty saying on the wall, but your audience and your employees will recognize that's not real. And for the companies that attempt to fake it, it will be disastrous.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's so funny. As soon as you started talking about that, I was like, sometimes you think of it from like a Fortune 500. Sometimes you think of it from a small entrepreneurial. And I think my mind went small entrepreneurial, and it's like, okay, so pick the thing that you guys are already passionate about. Don't try and build a new thing. And that goes to that idea of authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Like this is something that we're already passionate about. Tell that story and live that.
Yes.
And I think that's sort of what you're saying, right?
It really is. And what you'll have is, everybody wants to capture huge market share. I get it. But new things are coming out so fast and so often that that's going to be very fluid. If you have captured your audience with their alignment with your purpose, right? You've created some real attachment point with them. They'll go beyond being just your consumer. They'll be your fan and your advocate and your
Advocate. Yeah.
evangelist, and they will be less fickle in terms of who they buy from tomorrow and next week, because they're about who you are, not just what you sell.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels almost old school to say this now, but it does go to the start with why thing.
Yep.
This is a book that Simon Sinek wrote many
Sinek,
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah. So
It's so true.
yeah. Well, Colton, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. This has gone super quick, and I really appreciate you jumping in here today. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the time. It's been fun. Thank you.
Awesome. We'll do it again sometime. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.